5 major changes are coming to Social Security in 2024. So if you are currently receiving benefits or you are getting ready to take Social Security, pay particular attention to this video. Also, you want to stay till the end of this video because I have an important update. About 1 million people on Social Security or disability benefits are at risk of having their benefits suspended, according to a recent 60 Minutes episode. And I want to give you all the details about that so that if you receive one of these letters from the Social Security Administration, you know exactly what it is about and what steps you need to take to avoid this outcome. So let's get right into it. So this is what I want to cover today. 5 major changes are coming to Social Security starting in January. I want to bring you the full details. And then President Biden has a plan to change Social Security next year. I want to explain the details of the plan and the 3 problems with Biden's plan. And then I want to talk about the biggest story today, which is 1 million people at risk of losing their benefits, Social Security and disability because of overpayments. The Social Security Administration is about to send 1 million letters out. You want to know this detail so that when you receive the letter, if you're one of those people, you know exactly the steps to take to avoid this really, really bad outcome that 60 Minutes talks about. So if you are new to Social Security Edge, I want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel because all we do is bring you the latest information, news, and updates on anything that may affect your Social Security or disability benefits. So let's jump right into it. So let's talk about the benefit changes for next year, 2024. Starting in January, the first change you're going to see is COLA. The cost of living adjustment is going to go up by 3.2%. You may already be aware of this, but here's the catch. Previously, it was 8.7% last year, and then it was 5.9% in 2022. So why is the COLA so low this year? Well, it's because, according to the government, inflation has been trending down. And as you know, the cost of living adjustment is pegged to an inflation index. So when inflation is going up, you're going to see an increase in the cost of living adjustment to compensate for that. If inflation is going down, then obviously your COLA is going to go down. And one of the changes that I'm going to talk about President Biden's plan is to change how COLA is calculated. So you want to stay for that because currently COLA is based on the inflation index of urban wage earners and clerical workers. Well, the problem with that is that urban wage earners and clerical workers are not the one receiving Social Security and disability benefits. So why are we using their inflation index to calculate inflation for seniors and people on disability? So one of the president's plan is to change that. So currently, as things stand, a lot of people have expressed disappointment about the 3.2% COLA increase because you think it's too low. Because inflation and because prices have gone up for food, medicine, transportation, etc., and they've stayed up. So a 3.2% COLA increase for next year has been very disappointing for a lot of people. I totally agree. But here is another fact. The average COLA for the last 20 years has been 2.6%. So even though 3.2 is low, it is still above the average for the last 20 years. So the problem is that the government is calculating COLA based on the current formula. To change this, Congress has to act and move COLA from what it is now to a completely different index. So that's the first change you're going to see next year. So what does that mean for you? Well, for those on Social Security, your average benefit is going to go from $1,827 a month to $1,907 a month. If you're on SSDI, which is Social Security Disability Insurance, you're going to get a payment from the average payment from $1,483 to $1,537. Now, for those of you on SSI, Supplemental Security Income, your maximum benefit is going to grow from $914 to $943. And then if you're a couple on SSI benefits, you are going to see an increase from $1,371 to $1,415. Now, moving on, the second change that's going to happen next year on Social Security benefits is that the maximum taxable earnings is going to go up. What does this mean? Well, as you know, Social Security is funded through payroll taxes. So anybody making $160,200 in 2023 will pay Social Security taxes. Every year, that amount is adjusted for inflation. So next year, 2024, starting in January, the maximum taxable earnings is $168,600. Now, the president's plan, which I'm about to talk about, is going to increase the maximum taxable earnings to a higher amount so that more money can come into the Social Security Trust Fund. Because as you may know, in 2035, the Social Security Trust Fund is going to run out of money. So one of the president's plan is to increase this maximum taxable earnings threshold. So I'm going to talk about that shortly. So the third change that is going to happen next year is that the maximum benefit at your full retirement age, if you are collecting Social Security next year and you're collecting it at your full retirement age, depending on when you were born, that could be 66 years and change, or it could be 67. Your maximum benefit you can get is $3,822. That is an increase from $3,627, again, due to the cost of living adjustment. So that is the third change that you're going to see next year. The fourth one is that early claimants, people who are, going to get Social Security early, are going to be impacted when they work. So let me explain what that means. So when you start receiving Social Security early at, say, 62, when you work to a certain amount, your benefits are taxed until your full retirement year. So in 2023, that amount was $21,240. That's the amount you can make. And then after that, every $1 in benefits will be withheld for $2 in earnings. So next year, that threshold is going to go up from $21,240 to $22,320. So this affects people who are taking Social Security benefits before their full retirement age and are working maybe part-time. And so their wage is going to be taxed, or a portion of their benefits are going to be reduced. Your Social Security benefits is going to be reduced when you are working and you are collecting benefits not at full retirement age. So when you reach full retirement age, that threshold is going to go up. So the year when you reach full retirement age is going to go from $56,520 to $59,520. That is the threshold you can work without your benefits being affected. And then once you hit that threshold, every $1 in benefits will be held for every $3 you earn. So when you reach your full retirement age, that threshold gets better for you while you work. And of course, once you pass full retirement age, you can work as many hours as you want, and your benefits will not be affected. Number 5, workers need to earn more to qualify for Social Security. Every quarter, there is an amount of money you need to make to get the credits, the 40 credits, to earn the 40 credits that you need to get to qualify for Social Security benefits. And each year, that is adjusted, obviously, according to the cost of living adjustment. So this 2023, that was $1,640 in quarterly credits. So next year is going to be $1,730 to earn that quarterly credit. So those are the 5 changes that you're going to see in Social Security next year. Now, I want to talk about the next important update I want to give you, which is President Biden's changing plans that is going to affect everybody on Social Security or disability, and also future beneficiaries. This is a big deal, so I'm going to explain his plan in detail and why it is so impactful and why everybody on benefits today and going to claim benefits in the future needs to pay attention to what the president wants to do to fix Social Security benefits. So the president's plan is very detailed and it has several components. So let's jump right into it. So President Biden wants to spend $273 billion to fix Social Security and extend the lifespan. As I said, this is going to impact everybody. So let's get right into it. Now, before we get into his details, why is this even happening? Why does the president even want to tax Social Security? Well, 9 out of 10 people rely on Social Security. 9 out of 10 seniors rely on it. and it has lifted millions of people out of poverty, but currently it faces serious challenges. Why? Because there's demographic shifts that are happening with the baby boomer generation retiring in record numbers. There's a 22 trillion funding shortfall in Social Security. So that is one of the motivations for the president. So he has come up with a 4-part plan to fix Social Security for the future. The first part of it is to increase the payroll taxation, which on high income earners, which I talked about before. The second part is to change the inflationary index that Social Security COLA is calculated from. The third one is to increase the special minimum benefit. And then the last part of his plan is to raise the primary insurance amount for a certain age group of people that get Social Security benefits. So let's jump right into the president's plan. The first part is to increase the payroll taxation on high income earners. So what does this mean? As I explained before, Social Security is funded through payroll taxes. If you make $160,200 in 2023, you're going to pay 12.4% in payroll taxes. Previously, in addition to this 12.4% on $160,200, anybody that made $400,000 and above also paid Social Security taxes. Well, that was eliminated. So the president wants to bring that back. So what's going to happen is that if you make $160,000, $200 or more or less, you're going to pay Social Security taxes. That's the first tier. $160,200, you're going to pay payroll taxes. And then when you make $400,000 or above, you're also going to pay Social Security taxes. And then there's this gap between $160,200 and $400,000. That is what is called the donut hole. And the idea is that over time, the donut hole will close because of wage index increases, inflation, and that at some point, everybody, no matter how much money you make, will pay Social Security taxes. Why is this important? Well, as I said, more money is being taken out of the Social Security Trust Fund than is being put in. It means that more people are retiring and need benefits than people are paying into it. So one of the ways to solve this is to tax everybody that is working. And so the president wants to bring back the 400,000 threshold to make sure that more money is coming back into the system. So that's the first part of his plan. And this is very controversial because people are saying, why are the rich being made to pay more? Well, his argument is that we should all pay Social Security taxes, period, on all earnings, not just $160,200. So the second part of the president's plan, which I think is the most important part, is that the COLA index, currently the annual cost of living adjustment for Social Security, is calculated using what we call the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, which is the CPIW. What does this mean? Well, each year during the third quarter, the Department of Labor, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, will look at goods and services that affect urban wage earners and clerical workers. So food, transportation, medicine, clothing, etc. And then they will look at those prices of the list of goods and services, compare it to the price of the previous year. And if prices have increased this year, then they will adjust COLA up. If prices went down, nothing happens because they cannot reduce your benefits. If prices stay the same, then nothing happens also because they just keep COLA at zero. Well, the problem is that a lot of people have been complaining that COLA has not kept up with inflation the last 20 years. So even though the government has been adjusting, the problem is that the inflation index they are using is for urban wage earners and clerical workers, people who are not on Social Security and disability benefits. So why are we using the urban wage earners index to calculate Social Security for retirees? That is why the president wants to change it to what they call the CPIE, the Consumer Price Index for the elderly, which will then look at goods and services that impact seniors, like prescription drugs, healthcare, and other things that are the things that are causing seniors this rising cost of living. And then they will calculate the COLA based on that. So it's to shift from CPIW to CPIE. I think this is a big deal because it will help seniors have their true cost of living looked at when the inflation index is being used and also when the COLA is being adjusted every single year. This is the only way to get senior income. Those of you who are on Social Security, this is the only way to get your Social Security income to catch up with inflation, because the current method does not really account for every cost that you face as seniors on Social Security. The third part of the president plan, which is equally important and actually groundbreaking in my opinion, is that he wants to increase the special minimum benefit. Why is this important? Well, 40% of seniors rely on Social Security as their only source of income. However, a lot of seniors only receive the special minimum benefit. What does that mean? Well, for some people, if you've earned enough credit to get Social Security benefits, there is a minimum amount of benefit that everybody is entitled to, regardless of how low your salary or your wages were during the time you were working. That minimum benefit is to ensure that people will have at least a decent or receive a decent amount of Social Security benefits, even if they did not pay a lot of money into the system based on how much they were making while they were working. So this is done with good intention. The problem is that the special minimum benefit is very low. Let me show you and explain why. Currently, the special minimum benefit is $1,033.50. So if you're on Social Security benefits and all you get is a special minimum benefit, you're getting a check for $1,033.50. Next year, 2024, is going to go up by $33, which is nothing, really. It's going to go up by $33 to $1,066. So here's the problem. Annually, if that is all you're getting and that is all you rely on, which I said 40% of seniors only rely on Social Security benefits as their only source of income, then you're only getting $12,402. Next year, you'll be getting a slightly increased amount of $12,798. That puts you below the poverty line. You are definitely living in poverty if this is all you're getting as a senior for your income. So what the president wants to do is increase that special minimum benefit to 125% of the federal poverty level. What is the federal poverty level? Well, every year the government releases a chart that shows what the government thinks is the poverty level, where if you are making money at or below this level, you're either living in poverty or living below poverty. And this is important because it helps people qualify for government benefits and other things. So it's an important chart that comes up every year. So in 2023, if you are single and you make $14,580, you are living in poverty. Well, as I said, the special minimum benefit annualized is $12,402 this year. So if that's all you're getting in Social Security benefits and you don't get any other income, you are definitely living below poverty. So the presidents want to increase the special minimum benefit to 125% of the federal poverty level, which would then bring it to $18,225. That's a big jump. So let's analyze what difference that makes. As I said, 2024, if you're just receiving the special minimum benefit, you're going to get $12,798. So with the president's increase, you're going to get $18,225. If you divide that by 12, it comes to a monthly benefit of $1,518.75. So if the president's plan gets passed, it will be a 47% increase in the special minimum benefit. That's a big, it will be life-changing for people who are just getting the minimum benefit, because they're getting close to a 50% bump in their Social Security benefits because of what the president is recommending. And it's just 125% of the federal poverty level. So it's not like it's a big deal in terms of like your life is not going to be transformed in a huge way. But if all you're getting is $12,000 and now you're getting $18,000, it is a big change. So it is a very, very important one. So let's look at the fourth part of the president's plan. Is to raise the primary insurance amount for for certain group of people. What is the primary insurance amount? When the Social Security Administration calculates your Social Security benefits, there is a baseline that is used, and then a lot of things are stacked on top of that. How much you worked, how long you worked, how much you made, all then is stacked on top of this, the primary insurance amount. Well, what the president wants to do is increase that primary insurance amount for people at age 78 to 82. Why is that important? Well, people at this age, from the data that has been released, they experience some healthcare costs and prescription drug costs that eats into their Social Security benefits at that age. So the president wants to boost their income by 5% over that period of time to help them deal with the accelerating costs of healthcare and prescription drug at that age. So that is the president's plan, but nothing is for free. So it's going to cost money, and there's a lot of pushback from especially Republicans about the president's plan. And then some experts are also providing their thoughts on what they think the approach should be. So this is the president's plan. What do you think? I want to hear from you in the comment section below, because in my opinion, the plan that is laid out, if it's passed, is going to be a big deal. It's going to affect everybody on benefits. However, at a cost. Is it worth it? Is it enough? Is he doing enough to save Social Security? I want to hear from you about that. But let's look at what experts are saying about the president's plan. So there are 3 issues that have come up. Number 1, and this is according to the Motley Fool, there's an article that they came up with that I think does a great job of analyzing some of the issues that people think the president's plan currently has. The first one is that they think that if you tax the rich, high-income earners, people who earn $400,000 or more, remember, the president wants to bring back that cap, the $400,000 or more payroll taxes, to bring more money into the payroll system, to bring more money into the Social Security Trust Fund, to make sure that there's more money coming in than is going out. Well, people are thinking that if you make that change, all it's going to do is that rich people are going to get their money elsewhere. They are not going to claim salaries. They are going to claim investments as income so that they don't have to pay payroll taxes. Whether that's going to happen or not, I'm not sure, but that is one of the criticism of the president's plan, that people are just going to change their behavior to avoid taxes. So should everybody pay taxes based on how much they make, or should there be a cap on who gets taxed for Social Security? So that's the question that we're trying to answer. The second part is that the president's plan, even though it extends the Social Security Trust Fund and extends the life of the Social Security Trust Fund, according to experts, it just does that over 5 years. So they want to see more drastic changes so that there will be a long-term impact on the Social Security Trust Fund. They want to see the Social Security Trust Fund's lifespan extended beyond just the 5 years that the president's plan calls for. And then the third criticism that comes is that this is the president's plan. What are the Republicans' plan? Well, I have done 3 videos that sheds light on what the Republicans in Congress wants to do about Social Security. So you can check out those videos in the video library. But the problem is that the president's plan has to pass Congress. And you know how it is today. Barely anything gets done. So even if you have good intentions, it doesn't mean that it's going to go through. So the experts are suggesting that a more bipartisan approach is better. But the thing is that how many bills have been passed on a bipartisan basis, especially big bills? It rarely happens these days. It only happens, what happens typically now is that one party takes power, they have all of government, and then they are able to pass significant changes. Having a bipartisan bill these days is very rare. So is this a fair criticism? Is it realistic? I don't know. What do you think? So what they are suggesting is that Congress needs to go out, the president and his team needs to go out and explain this to people. Get in front of the voters, get in front of Americans and explain what the president wants to do so that everybody can understand what is coming. Because as I explained, the president's plan is going to affect everybody. And then they also want details analysis and a bipartisan discussion on a comprehensive solution to save Social Security. So that is what the experts are saying about the president's plan. And then next, I want to talk about the most important story I want to share with you today, which is this 60-minute story about overpayment that is putting 1 million Social Security and disability benefits at risk. You want to stay for this. So 60 Minutes did a story presented by Anderson Cooper of CNN, and even the title of the story alone tells you how crazy the story is. Our mistake is your responsibility. It means that when the Social Security Administration makes a mistake, it's still your responsibility as a recipient to fix it or to be aware of it and do something about it. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but let's get right into it. So here are the details of this 60-minute story. And why is this even happening? Well, each year, 71 million people receive Social Security checks. What has been happening is that at least 1 million people receive overpayments, which means that the Social Security Administration is sending you more benefits than you deserve. And sometimes this goes on for months and in many, many cases for years before the Social Security Administration becomes aware that this is happening. And then what do? They're going to send you a letter saying that you owe the money and you have 30 days to pay it back, or your benefits will be suspended, or a huge portion of your benefits will be taken each month to pay off the overpayment until it's cleared. It sounds crazy. So that is how 60 Minutes got involved in this story. So let me explain what this is about. So they profiled 3 different people on Social Security and disability that have been recently affected by this, and I'm going to share that story with you. And then you want to stay till the end because I'm going to explain. If you get one of these letters, there are 3 options available to you. I'm going to give you those options. So the first story is of Stephen and Becky Sword. So this couple, they live in Chicago, and they received a letter from the Social Security Administration that they owe $51,887, and they have 30 days to pay it back. So how did this happen? Well, the husband, Stephen, had faced some challenges with illness. And so he got on Social Security disability benefits. And while on disability, he started working. And that is allowed because some people on disability benefits can work a little bit, at least on a part-time basis. And the government encourages it. There's a program called Ticket to Work, Trial to Work. So he started working. But when you're on Social Security and you're working, you have to report your wages to the government. You have to report your wages to the Social Security Administration every month so that your disability benefits or your Social Security will be adjusted. Your Social Security benefits or your disability will be adjusted. And remember when I talked about the changes that are coming in Social Security next year, I talk about there's a threshold for Social Security benefits where if you start receiving benefits before your full retirement age, you have to report your income so that your benefits will be adjusted if you pass that threshold. Well, it's the same thing for disability benefits. If you're working while on disability, every month you have to report your earnings, and if you pass a certain threshold, then your benefits will be reduced to compensate for some of the money you're making by working. So, according to this couple, Stephen and Betty Sword, they have been reporting all his earnings to the Social Security Administration, and they have all the receipts to show for it. They have everything documented, and they've been diligent in sending the paperwork in. Unfortunately for them, the Social Security Administration did not make the necessary adjustment to his income, to his benefits, and so for years, he's been receiving more disability benefits than he should have received. So when the Social Security Administration finally woke up to the situation, they sent them a letter for $51,887 that they have to pay in 30 days. They appealed to the Social Security Administration. It was denied. They requested a waiver. It was denied. And then 60 Minutes got involved. So I'll give you how this story ended at the end of this. So needless to say, this created a lot of burden for them. It created a lot of stress on them. And it got to the point where they have saved up $60,000. $60,000 is all the money they have left. They were willing to send it to the Social Security Administration so that they can get rid of this debt and get the Social Security Administration off their back. That is how bad this got. So if you are impacted by this, there are ways that you can deal with this, and I'm going to talk about it after I finish the other two stories. So the next story is of Jean and Glenn, and here is a crazy one. She started receiving Social Security benefits 6 years ago. 4 years into Social Security benefits, receiving Social Security benefits, she got a letter from the Social Security Administration that she owes $72,000. How did this happen? Well, according to the Social Security Administration, when they were calculating how much Social Security benefits she was entitled to, they made a mistake. So they made an error and paid her more benefits that she was entitled to. So the question is, how is this her fault? Well, the Social Security Administration says that it is her fault, and she owes the money back. So even though they made the error, they want $72,000 back, and she has 30 days to pay it back. And if she doesn't, which she didn't, they suspended her benefits. She has not received a Social Security check in 2 years. That is how bad it got for her. Crazy. The third story is even crazier. This is a story of Roy Farmer. And when Roy was a child, he was diagnosed with cerebral palsy and was on Social Security disability benefits, money that was going to his mom to take care of him. At age 11, the Social Security Administration made a determination that his disability, he doesn't really qualify for disability benefits anymore. Perhaps it got better, but that's the decision that was made. But not only that, they said that in addition to the fact that they're not going to send him any more benefits, that they were paying him more benefits than he deserved at a certain point. So when he was 11 years old, the agency determined that he no longer medically eligible for benefits and that his mother received $4,920 too much. Now, he's an adult now in his 20s. Unfortunately, his mom has since passed away. But now they're sending him a bill to pay $4,920. Why? Something that they said he owed when he was a child, he's being asked to pay when he's an adult. How is this even possible? Well, simple explanation. The Social Security Administration said they have determined that based on how much money he's making as an adult, he can afford to pay the debt for money that was sent to his mom to take care of him when he was a child. Crazy. So, obviously, this has been going on at an alarming rate recently. So Congress got wind of this, and the current head of the Social Security Administration was brought to Congress for a hearing. And even though that was a public spectacle, nothing really came of it. But here is the truth. This is an issue. 1 million people are going to receive this letter this year, next year, and they'll have to deal with it. So if you get a Social Security overpayment letter, what are your options? Well, you have 3 options. Number 1, you can file an appeal. The letter you're going to get is going to tell you that your appeal should be filed in 60 days. But here's the problem. Within 30 days, after 30 days, if they don't hear anything from you, the Social Security Administration can start collection items, which means that they can take all of your benefits or suspend it, or take a portion of your benefits to pay your overpayment until it's done. So if you want to avoid the collection item and have your appeal ruled upon before they start collecting, you have to file your appeal within 30 days. So again, your letter is going to say 60 days, but file in 30 days. And by law, they cannot do anything about collection until they've made a decision about your appeal. So that's the first thing, is an appeal. If your appeal is denied, the other option you have is to file a waiver. What is a waiver? A waiver is essentially telling the Social Security Administration that you cannot pay this debt back. There's no way you can pay this, and if they take all or a portion of your Social Security benefits to pay it back, it's going to cause you severe financial issues. That's your next option. The third option is to pay the money back. If you know you owe, you agree with what they're saying, and you have the money sitting down, then pay it back. Those are the three options you have if you receive an overpayment letter. But most people don't have the money sitting down. I mean, nobody has the $51,000, $800 when they're on disability benefits. And this is the irony of the whole situation. If you're on disability benefits, especially SSI, you can only have assets of $2,000 or you will lose your benefits. So the Social Security Administration knows that people on disability, especially SSI, can only have $2,000 in assets or they risk losing their benefits. And yet they're comfortable sending you a bill for $58,000, $72,000 and asking you to pay in 30 days. Essentially, it doesn't make sense. So there is a last thing you can do. If your appeal is denied, if your waiver is denied, you can request a hearing before an administrative judge, a Social Security administrative judge. And this is a legal proceeding, so you might want to get an attorney to help you prepare, an attorney that is well versed in Social Security overpayment cases and can look at your case and present a good case before the judge to increase your odds of being able to win this case. So those are your options. Pay the money back, file an appeal within 30 days, file for a waiver, or if all else fails, request a hearing before an administrative judge. Now, there's a lot of criticism that is going around because of how the Social Security Administration is handling this issue. The first one is that there is lack of accountability. Why is it that this is happening in the first place? That they are making mistakes and then they are putting it on beneficiaries. The second is also that people who are being targeted are vulnerable people, seniors, people on disability who don't have any money and are being stressed out to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that they don't have. And the third is that why is there not a statute of limitation? Why can the Social Security Administration go back 3, 4, 5 years and try to claw back money that they have overpaid you? So here are some of the criticism that people are putting back is that there should be some accountability. There should be some statute of limitation, but this is something that Congress will have to do. And here is another wrinkle in this whole thing. While a record number of people are receiving Social Security benefits, the staffing at the Social Security Administration has been falling. So less people are working at Social Security than they have been in a very long time. And so you have more people receiving benefits, which means that there's going to be more need for customer service and more needs for help. But then there are less people working in Social Security Administration. So there is a staffing gap. That is also making all of this problem significantly worse for a lot of people. So this is what experts are suggesting the government should do regarding Social Security overpayment. This is where Congress can step in. Create a statute of limitation so that if the statute of limitation passes, then the Social Security Administration cannot come to you or cannot go after you for overpayments. And also overhaul how these overpayment financial arrangements are done. You know, there are payment plans that you can get on, but they are still burdensome to people who are on fixed income or disability benefits who are getting a tiny fraction of money to begin with. So these are the two proposals that have been presented to help the Social Security Administration really address this problem that looks like it's been happening for a very long time. At the same time, the Social Security Administration is saying, look, we are just trying to collect money that is owed the federal government. And because the Social Security Trust Fund has, you know, as I mentioned earlier, which is why the president is presenting his plan, the Social Security Trust Fund is going to be in jeopardy in 2035. So the Social Security Administration is saying we're just doing our part to help make sure that we are collecting money that is owed the government to save the trust fund. Here's the problem, though. The Social Security Administration has been collecting a record amount of money in overpayments. Last year, 2022, they collected $3.354 billion in overpayment, and yet they still have $21.6 billion left to collect. And even if they collect all that money, it's still a drop in the bucket, because remember, when I started this video, I said there's a $22 trillion shortfall. That's trillion. and they're about to collect, maximum 21.6 billion. So billion, trillion, big gap. So a lot of experts are saying harassing seniors and people on disability under the explanation or under the motivation that you're trying to save the Social Security Trust Fund, while it's a noble effort, it's a drop in the bucket, and that to save this trust fund, Congress must act. So essentially, it goes back to what I said before, that people are suggesting that, they make changes to statute of limitation and also have a way of easing the overpayment, the payment plans that people are put on who genuinely owe money. So here is where this all stands. And here is the final part of this story that is even crazier. So remember the three people that I talked about, the three people that 60 Minutes covered in their episode. The Swords, the Rodriguez's, and then Roy Farmer. Well, this is the power of the media, and this is when powerful voices get on your case. Because when 60 Minutes ran their story, now the Social Security Administration did a complete reversal and forgave the debt of all three people. So their debt is gone. Even though they applied for appeals and were denied, and they applied for a waiver and they were all denied, once 60 Minutes brought their name up on national television, all of a sudden the Social Security Administration is willing to forgive that debt. The question is, how about the millions of people that are going to be facing this issue that don't have powerful voices like 60 Minutes bringing their story in front of a national audience? So it still begs the question, there needs to be streamlining of the process of how the Social Security Administration handles overpayment, because it's impacting a lot of lives. So here's how I'm going to conclude this. If you get hit with an overpayment letter, do not ignore it. You still owe the money. And the Social Security Administration has tools available to them to either take a portion of your benefits after 30 days if they don't hear from you or if you don't pay the money back, or they can take all of your benefit until it's paid back. So as soon as you get an overpayment letter, the first thing to do is file an appeal. That buys you some time while you figure out what this is about. But before you file an appeal, don't just file it. Go to the Social Security Administration office, call them, or go online and understand exactly why you owe the money. And then once you are armed with the information, you can then prepare an appeal on why you think this is incorrect, or what mistake they made, or why you think that this shouldn't even have happened in the first place. But do not ignore an overpayment letter. So that is all I have for you today. I hope that this has been helpful to you. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe to our channel, because all we do here is bring you the latest news and updates on Social Security and disability benefits, anything in and out of Congress that may impact your benefits. So until I see you in the next video, thank you for watching.